What were your thoughts on Martin Luther King? You know, Malcolm and had at one point he had kind of issues with Martin Luther King.
But they had kind of a disagreement on the way to do things.
Right.
Although I think that I truly believe that those two brothers, and there is no doubt that at the end of that thing is J. Edgar Hoover in about 1959, I think it was. It's in that book someone wrote about him. Someone wrote a book about J. Edgar Hoover. And he says that J. Edgar Hoover in 1950, it was 1959, he said to someone, we gotta make sure we gotta watch those two, talking about Brother Malcolm and Dr. King. We gotta watch those two. I'm kind of paraphrasing it.
Right.
We gotta watch those two because they're dangerous and keep them from getting together. So they tried everything. And when they saw near the end when when Brother Malcolm and Dr. King were like very slowly, there were people in Brother Malcolm's group and people in Dr. King who were having quiet meetings where these two brothers could develop. And Brother Malcolm was never going to become a Baptist.
Right.
Dr. King wasn't going to become a Muslim, but they saw themselves as black, and they saw and they were very quietly, and people in that different groups were meeting with each other to begin to set up some kind of, because that one meeting they had, that famous meeting of them shaking hands, that was, they didn't even have a chance to talk. That was just they were happened to be coming in a train station or something like that. And they shook hands and kept right on leaving, have time to talk, kept right on going. But Hoover said in 1959, we got to make sure those two cats do not get together. Now I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but it was in a book on J. Edgar Hoover. Who was that? Who wrote that book? I can't think right now. But the last major book written on J. Edgar Hoover. I,
I'm sorry.
but so he was really, and he said that in '59. You know, which is when Brother Malcolm was still the Nation of Islam.
Right.
That king was there. But he said that in that because he could see what could possibly happen if those two dudes would ever work together.
So with Pan Africanism, one of the main beliefs is that religion is freedom of choice. You can be any religion you want as long as it doesn't interfere with you prioritizing your people. Do you agree with that?
Totally. Pan-Africanism means that we may be different religions, we may be different economic positions, all kind of different things. But a Pan-Africanist means that we believe that our fate is 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 together, and that the only way that we can effectively protect our and promote our interests in this society is for us to be together. Now, nobody's saying that everybody got to be a Muslim, everybody got to be a Christian. Those people, those as far as I'm concerned, those Christians who say, well, if you want to be part of what others, you got to be a Christian. Or those Muslims who say, you got to be a Muslim. As far as I'm concerned, they are allies of the supremacists.
Right.
They're allies of the people who are against us.
Right.
And and a Pan-Africanist believes that people of African descent, that we got to get together, and that is the only way that we can protect ourselves from the people out to exploit us, and that includes the North Americans, the Europeans, in many instances now the Asians. Nowadays, we talk about nowadays. but that if and Pan-Africanism means people of African descent, whether you're in North America, South America, the Caribbean, Africa, or wherever. We have to feel a sense of unity with each other. And it's again, ain't nowhere in the world that human beings when together is going to agree on every single issue. But if you attack, but if one of those people from those other groups attack me because, oh yeah, I'm trying to get that, I want that stuff that they got, and they're doing it because they're black, then we got to say, oh no, you ain't doing that. Even if we have not formed no work, don't even know the people. But see, what of course what is happening now is, and what they've done rather successfully, and although I still believe somewhere down the line it's going to change. If you get the way they do it now, if you get 10 Africans on 1 acre of land, and they call themselves the Republic of whatever, the next day they're going to have ambassadors from Paris, from London, from Washington, from Peking, from Moscow. Because they want Africa to be divided into about 500 little countries.
Right.
They want that. And until the Africans understand that, they're going to be abused and used by the people from these other continents. And Brother Malcolm understood that. He understood that, man. He understood that. And of course, again, they knew that he understood that. That's why the State Department, those folks were very concerned when he traveled in Africa. On my book, Brother Malcolm's Strategic Pan-Africanism, I list the people he went to Africa and had a meeting with. Let me just read them off to you, because I can just imagine what happened in the State Department when they saw this. President of Nigeria, the president of Kenya, the president of Egypt, the president of Ghana, the president of Tanzania, the president of Uganda, and the president of Guinea. And Brother Malcolm went to Africa. He had individual meetings with all ranging from meetings from 1.5 hours to 3 hours with each one of those brothers.
What inspired you to write Seventh Child, the family memoir of Malcolm X?
Well, because I wanted to explain, because I was teaching. I taught, after one of the things I did after the assassination is that I began to teach journalism courses. I taught at 3 different colleges, and I've talked about Brother Malcolm at about 35 or 40 colleges around the country. But I realized that you got to put this, again, Brother Malcolm, you got to document stuff, man. Harold Cruz, you got to document. The Roll Minute, they all taught us that. You got to document stuff so that, it can be passed on to future generations. But especially to the generations that's still around and it's coming behind you. You got to give them something they can read while they can talk to you about it and ask you about it and comment on it, And so that's why that's why I got this Witnessing Brother Malcolm X, The Master Teacher, a memoir by A. Peter Bell. That's why I called it that. Because you gotta be able to pass on, and one of the reasons that they, again, when the Europeans went into Africa, one of the first things they did was to try to stop the Africans from talking in their own languages. You gotta learn English. You gotta learn English. If you want a job, you gotta get English. If you want to do this, you gotta learn to speak English. If you speak that African language, the enslavers in this country, they would literally punish if they caught people speaking in their native language. They would punish them, you know, because they knew that how important that was, you know, for them, because they wanted them to, you know, and that's why today, you know, when even today in this country, black folks have a kind of an English of our own. We have a black English in this country.
Right.
And I have no problems with it. I love it because it's much more great. But I tell students now, when you're going downtown and dealing with so-and-so, you got to learn how to, you got to also speak that English they speak.
Yeah.
Just like they have to do.